Ruto has officially made changes in his cabinet. Let me just walk you through them in brief. And I quote, "Changes within cabinet and the senior ranks of the executive. His Excellency the President has today made nominations, reassignments and appointments to the senior ranks of the executive. The nominations affected are in regard to individuals to serve the nation in its foremost policy organ, cabinet, as well as in the foreign service. The head of state and government's executive action realigns ministries, state departments, and Kenya's foreign service to optimize performance and enhance service delivery as set out in the administration's revitalized plan under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, better. By dint of the presidential action and subject to the requisite parliamentary approval process, the individuals who will gain the esteemed ranks of our nation's cabinet, foreign service and state corporations are as follows. Nomination of cabinet secretaries. Number 1, Honorable Mutai Kagwe, Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Number 2, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui is the former governor of Nakuru, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Honorable William Kabogo, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information and Communications. Second category is ambassadors. We have Margaret Nyambura Ndungu going to High Commissioner of Ghana, Ababu Namwamba, Permanent Representative of Kenya to the United Nations, UNEP to be specific. Then we have Ambassador Dorothy Angote going to become the High Commissioner of Zimbabwe, and Dr. Andrew Karanja becoming the Ambassador of Brazil. Then reassignment of Cabinet Secretaries. Here it gets really interesting. Salim Vuria, Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, and Kipchumba Murkomen becomes CS of the Ministry of Interior and National Administration. Then finally we have Ndiritu Muridhi, Chairperson and Board of Directors, KRA. Now in this video I want us to break down what this new publication means, and with no further ado, let's get after it. Number 1, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has officially joined Kenya Kwanza government through the back door, just like his senior brother Raila Odinga. And I'm saying this because we are seeing people like Mutai Kagwe making a comeback to the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Now, for those who are not acquainted, Mutai Kagwe worked under Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in the Ministry of Health. He was the one keeping us indoors with endless lockdowns. And ironically, he has been appointed to Ruto's cabinet just some few days after President Ruto visited Uhuru Kenyatta in Gatundu. So I guess Gachagua and Kalonzo have now become outcasts. They are the only ones who do not have a say nor a share in this broad-based government which has been formed by the three brothers. Second thing worth noting, at the inception of this government, Kipchumba Murkomen was arguably the second most senior Kalenjin in Kalenjin politics, second only to President Ruto. But after his mismanagement of the Ministry of Transport and the subsequent transfer to the Ministry of Sports, he went significantly further down in rankings. Now with this new role of CS of Interior, Murkomen has reclaimed his rank as the second highest Kalenjin in Kalenjin politics, considering he now sits at the National Security Council. And it also just lets us know that the president really, wants to have a solid cabinet, in that the Ministry of Interior goes to someone from home. He's made sure to install a Kalenjin. Now the third thing I'm picking from all this, when you see people like Kabogo in Ministry of Information and Technology, plus the likes of former governor of Nakuru, Lee Kinyanjui, occupying trade, you can just tell the president wants to finish Gachagua for good and also to recapture the mountain. Those two guys I've mentioned are some of the greatest critics of Rigathi Gachagua, and the president has put them in place to dismantle this new path Rigathi has placed for Mlima Kenya, where their preferred candidate is Kalonzo Musyoka. I've said it time and time again, the president does not need the same amount of votes from Mlima Kenya. He just needs some of the votes, and he will do everything in his power just to get some of the votes, even if it's 1 million, the same 1 million that went to Raila Odinga in the last election. That is all he needs, and that is all he wants. So if the mountain votes for Kalonzo, but he's able to steal some 15-20%, he will be good to go, and that is what he is trying to do. You can see most of the appointments are guys from Mlima Kenya, so he's still courting the region. Now, as far as Ababu Namwamba is concerned, I won't say too much about him, because him being reappointed as permanent representative of Kenya to UNEP is just a sympathy token. Ababu Namwamba has no real numbers, so politically speaking, he's inconsequential. But here's what you can expect. I see the return of BBI. Right after President Ruto went and met Uhuru Kenyatta in Gatundu, Moses Kuria put out a very long letter which we dove right into in this platform, and part of the message he put across is that there ought to be a return of BBI. Now with Uhuru, Raila and Ruto, I see this being a reality. We are going to have an ombudsman once again. We're going to have more constituencies created. We're going to have office of opposition. There's going to be so much punishment to the taxpayer. And with the way the judiciary is acting, with juris pesa moving around, I don't know if this time around Kenyans will survive the onslaught. Second thing you can expect is the standpoint, the good, how do I put this? The popularity that Uhuru Kenyatta gained. It's gone back down to zero. Remember, he was unpopular on his way out of office. He regained popularity while out of office because people saw how the current president is putting the country on a bad trajectory, especially the businessmen and so on being overtaxed and all that. But now, former President Uhuru Kenyatta is part and parcel of this administration, and he will go back to those bad numbers which he was having before he left office. And quite frankly, he doesn't care. He doesn't do any public rallies. He doesn't go to churches. If he does, it's Catholic churches which are, a little bit laid back, and there's no booing ever in church. So Uhuru doesn't give a damn. Raila is at the end of his political career. It's AU or he comes back to just enjoy his perks in the country. These guys have nothing to lose. President Ruto has everything to gain by gaining Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga to his side and eliminating Gachagua. So let's see what response we can get from Gachagua and Kalonzo. I don't expect Kalonzo to give much of a pushback, but Gachagua is the guy to do it. He'll suffer in the opposition, but he will give these guys a run of their money. I hope the judiciary will overturn Gachagua's impeachment in January 25th, because if they uphold it, Kalonzo Musyoka is out in the cold and he is finished. Who will be his deputy? Morara Kebaso? Okia Omtata? These are people who are famous online. On the ground, there's no real votes. So the judiciary needs to seriously remove that impeachment of Gachagua so that we can have a fair and level playing field. At the end of the day, guys, that's just my opinion. Do let me know your own